Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I am here with Nesh, and we're going to
Let's
be
go.
going over his SwordSoul deck lists, and you want to do any shoutouts before we hop in?
Oh, shout out to my team at the barber shop, shout out to WAF and the Colosseum, obviously, and to you, DB Grinder.
Hey,
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you. And I'll also be leaving a link down below at the top of the description to the Coliseum. Make sure to go join it, great place.
me.
And
Okay, so today, I saw in my recent replays on your channel, people were asking about my sorts of deck list. So after a bit, I decided to give it to the people because I think that's fair, I guess. Like, I want just to share my opinions with the community, and then you can let me know what you think about that. And also because there is a very similar list to mine which topped the event, so I don't really mind about sharing it now. It was a secret. Like, I don't usually share my deck list because I use it for Ironmans, so I don't want to get people siding against my specific deck list, like for example Invoked or SwordSoul or PK. So I don't want to give like my specific patterns. Anyways, the ratio about this list is pretty much standard. So we have 3 Long John, 3 Ecclesia, which is very good going second, 3 Moye, and then we have 2 Taye. Now Taye is like the worst normal summon because you need to grave set, but I want to have 1 for my first turn in case I can overextend, and 1 for my recovery because when you full combo, you don't have really a card to show with Moye, so Moye is not really a recovery engine, like a recovery starter. Taye is the best recovery starter. So that's why I rather prefer having 2 Taye, 1 just for the turn 1 and the second for the turn 3, or in case I just banish 1 with the Desire. I don't like 2 traps, even though it's not that bad having 2 in the main deck. I just don't feel like it's necessary. I don't really care if I banish it of Desires. I don't really care. If I cannot search it, I just search Long John, or I just search like a Rota spell, the Emergence. So I'm kind of fine with banishing it or just having it still into the deck. And also because like it makes sense in the DP version maybe to run 2 traps because you can send the second one with the Taye and you can banish in your opponent turn with the Shishao, the trap in the graveyard. But in this version, since you have the Tenyi, you don't really are gonna send the trap in the graveyard with the Taye. So I want to have always an Ashuna or an Adara because they are pseudo recovery cards. And by meaning pseudo recovery card, it's a card you cannot activate that turn, but just in case you can extend in a play in the turn 3, then you can activate it just for recovery. The amount of entraps, Ash, Veiler, and Impermanence are the most common ones and the one which can deal with the entire meta. Impermanence, at the start of the meta, I thought it was a bit weak, but I have actually evaluated it a bit better because I found a choke point in the bird up combo in which Impermanence is very good. I'm running Chalice over the Droplet because I don't really think this deck can afford the cost fodder. So I want to have a card at least which can trade in case I draw it as 6th card. So I want to have at least six cards I can draw in which they can be turned into interruptions, and 6 entraps in case I draw them in my first 5 cards to deal with my opponent plays. And now we go through Vessel. I hate this card. Like, I hate it with such a passion. But the thing is, there is nothing better because I mean there is another version without Vessel I will show up later, but in this version I think Vessel is all right. I want to say, like, it's not the best card in your deck obviously, but it's a card which can give you a huge plus if you draw it with a Vishuddha or an Adara can give you literally full combo through Nibiru, or can help you to combo through interruptions. And going second, if you resolve it, it's actually kind of huge. Even though it's not the best card going second, there is another card which is very good going second, which is Dragon Circle, and we will talk about it later, but for going first is definitely Vessel. I tested Gold Sarcophagus and Instant Fusion instead of a Vessel, if you saw my last replays. Now, the thing about Gold Sarcophagus and Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion was alright, I have to say, but the thing is, when you are going second, you wanna use the Ashuna before using Instant Fusion, because you don't wanna reveal more cards in your hand, and you don't really wanna your opponent to know where he has exactly to interact in your game state. Okay, so if you open Ashuna, you're gonna go for Ashuna, but then in that scenario, Instant Fusion is gonna be dead, and because you cannot summon the Tanner Beast level 4. So you have to start then with Instant Fusion, but if you start with Instant Fusion, then you cannot Ashuna, so you can see the conflict there. And if you run Gold Sarcophagus, then you have to run at least a double trap. And I really think the trap at 2 is not necessary. And that's my thought process, and that's why I decided at the end to go for Vessel, because I did like 20 games, and every time I was like, if this was Vessel, maybe it could have been better. And also, Instant Fusion was also working with Ecclesia in the Graveyard, which is very good, but you have also to consider the end in which you just draw Instant Fusion without Ecclesia, and you don't get interrupted, and Instant Fusion just sticks in your hand doing nothing. And when the Vessel is always alive if you start your combo, because if you summon a token, you can just activate the Vessel, and then you send Ashuna, you add Adara, and at least you have like an alive pseudo combo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We can go over the extra deck. I think the side deck is a bit personal, like depends on your local, depends on the event you have to face. You have basically to decide which entraps are better, which board breakers are better. I don't want to run Droplet in this one because, like, as I said, I don't like the cost fodder, even though Droplet is very good. So I decided to opt for a Dark Ruler and Storm, which are very good blowout cards right now, and Droll for the bird deck. And then we have the Protoss. I have seen someone maining the Protoss in the recent events. It makes sense for a tournament which has like 9 what's the name? How do you say that? 9
9 rounds of Swizz.
Yeah, now 9 rounds of Swiss. Like if you have like 7, 6, 8 rounds of Swiss, it makes sense to main deck Protoss, because in the top cut you will know which decks you are gonna face, so you can just go blind Protoss when you get the infos about your opponent. If someone was doing that, so they made a Protoss in an online scene. That's not viable, so you cannot do that. About the extra deck, I think it's very standard except for one card, and I think the second Baxia definitely comes up. It's very good. Guys, run second Baxia for the love of God. Then we have like Dragite. Doesn't really come up often, but there are some few spots, like if you open very broken, you can summon Dragite, so why not? And then we have the Link 3 Tenyi. The Link 3 Tenyi, I run it instead of Rudiros, because Rudiros, in my opinion, never comes up. Like, I never went in a game state in which I would have preferred Rudiros over the bar on the floor, because you have to crack their board, you have to deal with the sets, and Baron is just better doing that, okay? And then you have an interruption for your opponent turn when Rudiros is only good against when Rudiros is only good against Drytron, okay? So and PK, it's only good against Drytron and PK, but you have to deal with the sets before. You have to deal with other interruption, and if they have cards in hand, like unknown cards in hand, you wanna go Baroness just to play around possible interruptions. So it never come up for me when the Link 3 did. Like, it actually did in a few of games that in which I was comboing in main phase 2 and I wanted to get rid of my opponent's monsters just to not allow him to overextend in the next turn. So I rather prefer it because it comes up in more scenarios, in my opinion. And that's it about this decklist, I think. Any question? Do you have?
No, there's not really any questions. You explained everything pretty well.
There is maybe something I wanna to add about the vessel. The vessel combo loses to impermanence. How does it lose to impermanence? So if you open vessel Vishuddha, for example, you special Vishuddha, go into Monk, activate vessel, send Ashuna, add Adara, special Adara, and then you activate Ashuna in the graveyard to special Vishuddha, and you go into Chaofeng. Your normal summon will be very weak to impermanence. So you have to decide actually if you want to play around Nibiru or you don't want to play around Nibiru. Like in a few of spots, I actually decide to not play around Nibiru because I rather prefer having a way to play through impermanence sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain my entire process about when I decide to play around Nibiru or not, but yeah, so it's just a good thing to know the vessel combo loses to impermanence most of the times.
You want to hop into the second list now?
Yes, let's go into the second list. Okay, guys, the second list is pretty much the same as the first one, except for a few of things. We can notice the Water Tenyi, Shetana, and then we can notice the Evilly Dragon Circle. Now, Evilly Dragon Circle is broken when you go second. It's even like it's actually very good when you go second because when you normal summon, like for example, Moye reveal a SwordSoul card in your hand and they impermanence or Bailer you, then you can chain Circle to add a Shetana, then you special summon the token of Moye, and then you can special summon Shetana so you didn't go -1, or you are still allowed to combo. And this is why it's so broken. And then the next turn, you have also the effect in the graveyard to add the Tenyi card from your deck to your hand. There is a spicy card you can add, it's the Counter Trap. I don't think I want to run it, but it's an option if someone wants to do that. The issue about Dragon Circle is it doesn't combo with with Adara and Vishuddha. Like you can add the combo piece, but it's a -1. It's a -1. But you can recover this -1 in your next turn by adding another Tenyi. It's not something crazy, you know. And that's about this list. I actually think Dragon Circle is crazy going second, but it's slightly worse than Vessel when you go first. So the thing is, do you want to go first and try to combo optimally, or do you want to go second and having good answers to your opponent interruptions? But you have also to consider, will your opponent have the right interruptions? Like that's a bit sketchy. And then Shetana is just asked to draw, like you don't want to draw that card.
Yeah. So in this build, do you think the Ready Rose Dragon is good over like the third monk?
Yeah, because you don't run a vessel, so there is like it doesn't come up a lot to go for the third monk, in my opinion.
And then
the
also
vessel gives you like the extra monk.
Yeah. Also, do you think the droplets is better in this build than in the vessel build?
Not really. I was running droplet, then I switched like before the deck profile. I think you opened it before I was switching it. I think Chalice is a bit better, anyways. You can run a droplet, anyways, but like I want to respect like no how can I say that, like I want to stick on my pattern. Like if I run Dragon Circle to tribute my monster, I want also to Droplet to tribute my monster going second. I want just a better deck going second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of
So
people
those are.
don't think about like going
Mhm.
second with their decks because like going first is pretty easy. Going second is where like the hard part is.
Mhm. I was testing the going second also with 3 Storm, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Droplet, 4 Mystic Minds, and I was running 3 Ashuna, 1 Vishuddha, 1 Adara, and 3 Prosperity. It's basically it. You can actually proxy the entire deck after I told you those ratios. Um, but the issue about the deck is you cannot beat the bird deck. Why you cannot beat the bird deck? Because they are gonna end with like it's 5 interruptions and Oath in the graveyard, so it's basically 3 of Assemblo, 1 from DDL, 1 from it's actually 6. It's actually 6 interruptions. Sometimes it can be 7. It's 6, 7 interruptions and Oath in the graveyard, and you need 3 board breaker cards, guys. 3 board breakers. Like I was testing against it with one of my teammates, and I opened Evilly and Dark Ruler. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm safe. I activate Evilly just to bait, and he activated the he activated the bird to bounce in and then negate. What's the name? The
The Avian.
Avex Appian.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. He activated Evian to negate the Evilly, and then I activate Dark Ruler and use Oath in the graveyard. Like that's actually insane because that means you need 3 board breaker cards, or you need double Dark Ruler. Because actually no, it doesn't even work double Dark Ruler. I think it's only Dark Ruler Droplet. Because let me read Oath. It doesn't negate the activation. It just negates the effect.
Well,
Yeah, it's
you could still use double Dark Ruler.
yeah, you can still use. It's not once per turn.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Dark
it's not
Ruler's
once
not
per turn. Yeah,
once.
so it's double Dark Ruler, or Dark Ruler plus Droplet, or Droplet plus Evilly. Like those are basically the only cards which works together because Storm never works with any other one.
Yeah, no,
There
that
were
bird
actually
deck sets up an insane board.
there were a card I was actually testing which is a bit better than Storm, but it loses to the rogue decks. It's Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse, it's a quick spell which sets all the monsters on the field, you know. It was actually good to bait interruptions, and it was like not bad going first if your opponent sends you first, if they know your deck list, some stuff like that. So I was thinking about that, but to be honest, I just don't think you can go second because there are so many bullshit when you go second. Like you get sight, you get blind Protoss, you get the Oath combo, or you get Feather Storm, like the Feather Storm does. What's the name? The trap card of the bird deck.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember that card's name, but I just know that card's in FTK. You just activate it and
Yeah,
it skips the turn.
yeah, it's RP Feather Storm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they have RP Feather Storm, and then there are people which sides anti-spell, so you have to side to go first. So you have basically try to steal the first game going second, but I don't want to do that against side. Like, and then you have to draw Mystic Mine if you really want to win that game. And to be honest, I just feel I don't think like cracking a board right now it's the way. Because I realized that after a few of testing, because there are so many FTK combos, and the only way to stop them or to interact with them is by running entraps.
Yeah, I found like stuff like Droplet and stuff to be I don't know, they felt really good at the beginning of the format, and then everybody just started switching to like, Scythe combo through Droplet. Um,
Yeah, I stopped the running droplet and I went back to Forbidden Chalice because people like good players figured out the combo to play through droplet, and it just made no sense for me then. Made no sense for me to still running droplet after that.
yeah, and then Chalice is also like pretty decent going first. I mean, Droplet's still pretty decent going first too, but at least it
I
doesn't take like
mean,
the extra
droplet is a
card.
chalice -1, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's about it. A very good card no one is using is like I like let me give to the guys an hint about how to play like around impermanence or Baylor in some spots. Like for example, if you open Moye, Taille, and a Tenny card, you can actually play through impermanence or Baylor. You can actually do that. How do you do that? You special summon the Tenny, then you normal Moye reveal Taille. Let's say they impermanence Baylor you. What you can do is going into Shaman, and then you use a Shaman, pitch Taille, and then you can revive Taille, because you revive after you discard for cost.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people doing that recently. Sometimes you just can't even play around it. It's just like if they have the tie, they have the tie.
Yeah. They can play through impermanence or Baylor by doing that. People are just like, I saw some people not doing that. I think they should evaluate a bit more Shaman. Shaman is actually crazy to play through interruption if you open at any. So they should go maybe more into the Shaman. It's actually very good.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's about the deck profile. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I will answer not everyone, but some of them when I have time.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for the video. Again, make sure to go check out the Coliseum Discord. Great place for playing for money, Iron Man's tournaments, anything like that. So go check them out. And the DB Grinder and Nesh signing off. Peace.